All right, everybody. Joining me now, he is the host of the past podcast. Brian, what's going on, man?
What's up, man? Thanks for having me back, man. Was this like
Well,
third time's a charm?
yeah, well, you're always one of my favorite guests because uh you could correct me if I'm wrong on this, but like you're a deep thinker and I appreciate that. Like you think outside the box sometimes.
Oh yeah, it's a
So,
unique term now because I've accepted over the last couple of weeks that I am not just a deep thinker, but a free thinker. So it's a little unorthodox to some people, but I think it works for how I do things.
let me fix this. But
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, man. So we were talking a little bit off air. Like, how's your podcast changed since the last time we've been on, or
So
you've
when
been
I
on?
did, so the funny thing was, I think when we did our show at that time, I was heavy. I was very sports heavy. And then I
Yeah,
would kind of do like music, tech, and all that. Now
there we
I
go.
work in tech, so it's kind of almost like it's in reverse. So my main
Mm-hmm.
focal point now is I talk about tech. I kind of walk you through a week in my life, like what I've experienced, what I've been going through. I'm more guest friendly, so I like to have people on. And I don't know if you've ever listened to her, but Angie Martinez, I kind of follow her format of podcasting, which is I don't really sit down with like a list of questions. I just kind of go off of what I feel and what's good to ask and kind of make it an open dialogue so it doesn't feel scripted. And now that's been helping me. Like we're up to I'm actually getting ready to edit 359 tonight, and then I'll be doing my year in review for episode 360, which has a very unique meaning behind that once we get to it. So
Yeah, well, that's impressive. And also, you took a break for a while, right? What was the like? Were you just changing the format? Was that during the changing the format time? Like, talk about, the little break you took. Was that good?
yeah, so it got a little interesting with how I was recording because most of the time whenever you're recording, you're like, oh, I'm gonna do weekly shows, and
Oh,
every
I
week I got
know.
a show. I'm gonna do episodes, and after a certain point, I was like, all right, I need to prioritize like other stuff that I'm doing because not many people know, and it's me still trying. I think since we last did that show, I was kind of like in the early stages of it, but I have my business going now doing web and graphic design, so that's become my like more key investment. And then, like I said earlier, when I hopped into tech, that just like a light switch went off, and that's been my bigger focal point. So yeah,
Well, yeah, we talked during the pandemic, so
yep.
it that was an interesting time in society.
hmm Um, I can say that, and I can say this now that I won't even say it's the other side of it, but like the visual aesthetics for me now is at that time it was at its peak point. Like everybody was in some way, shape, or form had a good or bad story about the pandemic.
Right.
Now it's more people are finding ways to not necessarily look past it, but just knowing like, all right, what am I trying to do, or how like more people have spent more time like reflecting and assessing. Like I know for me personally, I've done a lot of personal soul searching, a lot of connecting with self. Um, not as I don't know, like I'm not as like because to be real, at that time I was working in healthcare. Now
Right.
I'm like I'm at a Fortune 500 company, and I don't have that, as I used to call it. I don't know if you may have followed my personal page, but it was a term I used called COVID fatigue.
Yeah, I think
And
I saw something about that.
yeah,
Yeah.
like I don't think people realize like that's a real thing, especially if you work in healthcare. For a lot of people, like I'm having a conversation consistently with someone now about she's ready to leave healthcare, and I'm like, hey, this is now's a good time to get it if you really want to do tech, and you kind of have a general foundation of what you're trying to do. Because let's face it, and I'm probably going on a little tangent, but I'll
Oh,
break
feel
this
free,
down.
man. Feel free.
Yeah, so is I call it the three phases of work post in since COVID. There's in office where you go to the office every day regardless of what goes on. There's hybrid, which you work in the office sometimes, you at home sometimes, and then there's fully remote. In my opinion, I don't think all three of those people can relate to each other the way that they would have when everybody was just going into the office. And a lot of my
Mhm.
friends don't understand that when I have to talk to them, like, yeah, so like a perfect example. Somebody was like, "Hey, I want it's an event going on this weekend. You can come hang out." And I was like, "So Friday night, cool. You want me to hang out? I work Saturday morning and I work from home. So when I'm working from home, I don't want to be sitting there like not hungover, but like tired from being out and about. And some
Yeah,
people can do
because
that. Yeah,
because when you do that, like sleep becomes interesting.
right.
You know.
And for me now, like it's two factors have changed. One, I just turned 40 a couple of months ago. So
Oh,
that put a
happy
whole
belated birthday, man.
yeah, man, appreciate it. To be transparent, I really didn't do a whole lot. Like I chilled, like I enjoyed. I got to hang out with some of my friends, and I got to link up with one of my boys, and it was like for me, it was fun hanging out with him because just the simple fact that he literally just look, we out, man. I'm just glad you getting me out to do something. And I was like, yo, I appreciate it. So that was
Yeah.
that was very like wholehearted and humble for me, big time.
What's funny is I went to the parade local, I live in Pensacola right now and
Yeah.
went to the local Christmas parade and it was just funny when the parade ended,
Mm-hmm.
Brian at like I don't know, people were leaving at like I don't know, the parade ended at like 7, but like people were leaving
Yeah.
at like 10 o'clock. And it was just funny. It was like out with the old people, in with the club people.
Yeah.
It was hilarious.
Right. Because
I'm
folks are
like
like, I'm good.
I'm like seeing the little transition from like the 40-year-olds to like the 20-year-olds.
Yeah. 20-year-olds
It's
want to, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with it. Like if
it's
you want
just
to
funny
party,
to it's just funny to see it though. Like one thing
yeah.
is to know that that's obviously you get older and you not saying mature, some people
Mm-hmm.
do, but
Yeah.
but the club scene changes usually at your 30s. Would you agree with that?
Club scene change. Club scene definitely changed like by 30s because I
Yeah.
was like I'd say mid to late 30s. I was like I can hang out a little while, but my whole mindset is like, all right, if I do too much drinking, I got to sit here. Like, I mean, I'm drinking water now because it's just what I'm learning to be more important with doing is just getting my water intake. But like, is I'm more focused on like I need to get this water in. I need to relax. Now, and I mean, my biggest adjustment, like adding to what I mentioned earlier, I also started working out now. So like I work out in the morning like six by six before 7 o'clock. I try to do like it's like a morning workout that I'm doing. I'm going. I got a friend of mine. He's been personally training me. I'm paying, of course, and he's giving me like different exercises. So like if I'm going out the night before and then I come home and I'm like, I don't feel like getting up. I'm nah. So
Yeah.
now I'm like, look, I'm down by like 10:30, 11 o'clock. Like I'm to the point now, and I ain't even thought about it yet. I'm ready to start going back to what I've talked about before, which is taking my phone out of my room, charging it somewhere else, just
Hmm.
so I don't get into like I call it doom scrolling. I think we might have talked about that before. I don't remember.
I mean, probably. I think you talked a lot about journaling
Yeah. Oh,
last time. No, but I
journaling is
think I think
yeah,
maybe you did that too, but I think journaling was a big heavy part of the episode, which was cool with me. Like whatever,
yeah,
I'm down for whatever. I do
yeah,
a lot of journaling now too because it was funny you were talking about healthcare. I'm actually back into it, but in a
yeah.
in an interesting way. So
Okay.
basically, what I do is I'm not the direct. I'm like non-direct, because I'm a job coach. You're familiar
Yeah.
with what those are?
They kind of get a general idea, but you help me school me so that way I'll know.
So it's essentially what you think it is. It's self-explanatory. Job, you help people with their job. You help
Yeah.
people. I mean, I don't know whether I
Okay.
should say it bluntly, but basically, you help them keep on track.
Okay. You
uh,
keeping them employed in every way possible.
I mean, yeah, you
That's
could
a
say it
PG
another
way to
way.
say it. Yeah. No, I get it. You ain't gotta listen.
No, but like,
This your show. I know what you're saying without saying it. I got you.
you know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of them are like autistic, or it's. So I work for like a nonprofit.
Okay. Got you.
So I have 14 clients.
All
I'm not
right.
gonna go into like super detail,
Yeah,
confidentiality
yeah.
or whatever, but
Oh
like,
yeah. Hip
yeah,
is undefeated.
yeah,
I've had
yeah.
to
But
learn that.
anyways, I have
Yeah.
a variety of clients,
Okay.
and I drive about, I don't know, on the clock. I've been driving, I don't know, anywhere from like 500 to 600 miles a month.
Mm.
But it's not. It's like a rotation. It's like
Yeah.
Johnny. not literal Johnny, but you know what I mean. Like example,
Yeah.
like Johnny is in blah blah blah, but I gotta do. I see Johnny, and then I go. So it's the same rotation. It's just over and over and over and over and over.
Right, right. Yeah. Kind of similar to where I was at before with train. Like when I did train, I think so when I was on your show, I did transport. Since
Yeah,
then, I've done scheduling. Scheduling was an I don't care what nobody says. Scheduling is an eye-opening experience.
I mean,
Only
yeah.
because people call you. I had stories even when I didn't expect to have stories. Like people will call in and they'll say, "Hey, I need what do they say? I need a prescription refilled." And you look at their list of prescriptions and they got like 10 prescriptions. I'm like, which one? The blue pill. And I'm like, you do realize I can't see what I'm just all I have is names in front of me. So it's like trying to get people to understand what you see versus what they are doing. Like it's a transition, but and like what I do now. So currently my job is help desk or service desk. And the easiest way that I explain this to people is customer service with critical thinking with I'm not gonna give you any information. I want you to figure this out. And that's how most of my calls are. Like when we were in training, they did this. They I mean not in training. When I was in my interview, our
Right.
manager asked us a question. I didn't understand why they asked me that question, but I understand it a lot clearer. The question was, and I'm probably giving some free game. So whoever hears this, today's your lucky day. The question was, explain to me how would you tie a shoe? Now, to some
Right.
people, you'll be like, okay, I mean, you put the shoe on, and like he had to kind of say it. Well, we've already assumed that you got the shoe on. We've already assumed that the laces are in it. Explain to me the details that you would use for tying the shoe. My wild card response is, are you left-handed or right-handed? Because that factors in which shoe you tie first. But you
Mm.
basically are explaining like crossing, doing the bow. I mean, doing the
Bunny. Yeah, like ears.
bunny.
Yeah.
Yeah, why that's important is when a person calls you and they say they got an issue, you literally got to ask them questions. Like with tech, it's like, okay, are you on a Windows or a Mac?
I
Um,
mean,
do
yeah, it
you?
makes sense.
Yeah, because some people don't want to like they won't tell you anything, and they think, oh, you should be able to see what I'm doing. And I'm like, I can't see nothing that like you're on the phone with me and you're in another country. You're in the United Kingdom and I'm talking to you right now. I don't know what you
Yeah,
got going on.
that's crazy. That's got to be interesting. The language barrier.
At times it can be the only this is gonna sound really bad, but I'm on this type of time. The biggest challenge with language barriers is the roles are reversed, and what I mean by that is normally you know how you call people in customer service and you get someone from India. It's a
I
challenging
mean,
conversation.
yeah, yeah.
Think of it in opposite where someone calls you and they're from India or they have a very thick accent. So when they say their name, they're just saying it like Sanjeev Javanjiri, and you're like, you just said that to me like I sit next to you, like I can see how you pronounce. So then you have to tell them like
I'm
spell
sorry. I
their
shouldn't be
name.
laughing. I should not be
I
laughing.
know it's cool. It's listen. I've dealt with this so much now. When they do it, I just be like, all right, you want me to reset your password, and you expect me to just know your name just because it's your name. All right, got it. Well played.
You're like, I bet, yeah.
Yeah. So,
Well, not the transition, but let's talk about something that's a little lighter.
mhm.
What's your thoughts on, the NBA? Let's go to some sports talk. What's your
Yeah.
thoughts on the landscape right now, man? What kind of the changing of the guard, so to speak?
Um, everything's in. This is gonna be a weird way to say it, and this you'll probably understand this because it's literally what I've observed. The NBA is going through Mercury retrograde, and here's what I mean by that. A few years ago, your top dogs were Brooklyn, LA, Phoenix is still in there, Miami. There, a lot of your teams are your main teams who are doing work. Now, with the state of the NBA, like, let's call it what it is. The Lakers look like trash. The Nets look like there's an identity crisis. Um, Miami is like a fluctuation of like who's gonna look good, who's gonna look bad. Sacramento is one of the best teams in the NBA right now, and then Golden State is like teetering between 6 and 10.
Yeah, I never thought I'd say this, but I
Mm-hmm.
kind of want to lead off with the Kings right now. Is that
No,
cool
that's
with
fine.
you? Is that
Yeah,
cool
we
with
can.
you? I never in my lifetime. I even kicked my computer because
Hmm.
it's not it's not used to me talking about the Kings.
Right.
But I feel like they've earned, a space here on our conversation. Not saying that
Yeah.
we met, like they don't know who we are, but my point is like they deserve to be a talking point.
Yeah.
I feel like that Sabonis,
Hmm.
he's really like I think people underappreciated the impact he would make on a team. Like he was just like discarded, like, oh, Indiana, get rid of Cap, but he's really made an
Right.
impact down there, or I guess over there.
Yeah. I mean, if you think about it like this, Sabonis has shown up wherever he's played. When he was
Mm-hmm.
in Oklahoma, he showed up. When he was and a lot of people forgot that he even played in Oklahoma because like
Mm-hmm.
you didn't really see him in rotation with Oklahoma. He got to Indiana and it was like, okay, this is a restart because they traded him for Oladipo because they couldn't pay Oladipo because of
Oladipo,
injuries.
that's a name I forgot about.
Yeah. Like, and that's to kind of circle back to one of the teams. Like he's with Miami. We haven't heard anything about him. But like
Mm-hmm.
Sabonis joining the Kings gave them an added identity because right now, before he was there, before Malik Monk was there, it was De'Aaron Fox and a bunch of guys.
Yeah,
Let's just call it what it is.
I bet Fox was like raising the roof, or like you know what
Yeah.
I mean, like
He was like, thank
cheering
goodness.
to the heavens.
Yeah. And then on top of that, you get Malik Monk, who he was a former teammate with. And then, like, I've seen videos where they're saying, which I could actually see this, he should get recognition for six man. I'm not saying he should be six man of the year yet, but he should be in that talk of like he's shown his worth to Sacramento. Like we never heard anything about they do the whole light thing, light in the sky. We never heard about that before.
Oh
Now it's
yeah,
like
like where the fuck did that come from?
that became, but it became like a riveting level of attention because you really hadn't seen or heard the Kings winning this much before. So
Yeah,
now it's like a
I never
turning corner.
I never thought I'd talk about them on a podcast, to be honest, but I felt like it was fitting kind of because not just them, but like the Jazz, like where the fuck did they come from? Like,
Jazz was supposed to tank this year. That was the biggest story that they kept saying. It was like, oh, the Jazz gonna fold. Colin Sec, like because you think about it, they blew up their team. You got Donovan Mitchell out of there. You traded Rudy Gobert for everything, which I thought was the worst trade. I'm standing on that hill because Rudy Gobert is a decent center, but what they traded him for, no.
they over like inflated the magnitude of that. Like the media
Mm-hmm.
was like, "Oh, the Twin Towers." I'm like, "Dude, the Twin Towers were Duncan and Robinson. Like, get
Right.
out." Like
And
people were
on
like talking about like they're the next Duncan and Robinson. I laughed my ass off when I heard that.
But the problem, this okay, since we spin into Minnesota and no one wants to say this, and I guess it's we got to call it what it is. There's no leadership, and it's sad because you would think Carl Anthony Towns is the leader, but Carl Anthony Towns is not mentally. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
gonna say statistically, mentally, he's not a leader on for that team. And then here it is, you have like a player such as Anthony Edwards, who this might be early to say. We
Yeah.
can circle back to this. I would not be surprised if he either looks to be traded or when his contract is up, he goes to another team.
Wow, I feel like that's a hot take.
It is no, I can
I
go
like that.
because I don't think Minnesota Minnesota doesn't Minnesota gives you value, but it's like a challenging value. Like okay, let's throw another name from Minnesota on the table, and you'll see where I'm going with this. 2 or 3 years ago, D'Angelo Russell, All Star player.
yeah,
He was an
yeah.
All Star. He was like doing this thing in Brooklyn. He got to Golden State. He didn't fit. So what does Golden State do? Let's trade him for Andrew Wiggins. What's the worst that can happen? He goes to Golden State. Andrew Wiggins becomes an All Star, wins a championship, was even in conversation for possibly getting MVP of that series, which was wild. And then here it is. D'Lo is like a shell of himself.
Mm-hmm.
So that
Yeah, that should be interesting though. Let's talk about more of the ones that get the national kind of spotlight. We got the underdogs.
mm-hmm.
Now let's talk about the media favorites.
Oh,
Who do
you
you like? let's talk about the Celtics. What's your thoughts on the Celtics this year?
The Celtics can no longer use the excuse that they're one piece away from a championship. Not because they went to the finals, but it's more so because now you have players. There are two things that's going to be important about looking at that we really got to think about with Boston. And correct me if I'm wrong. One, they need Robert Williams a lot more than they realize right now because they
I
really don't have much of an inside presence like that.
What happened? He's injured, right?
He's injured. Yeah, he's off an injury. His injury timeline has been fluctuating for a while. His is worse than Kawhi and PG, but we not even. We'll circle to that
I'm
later
sure
because
we'll
that's
get to the
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Clippers.
Because that's a whole nother dance. So it's that's one conversation, and then the second conversation is now we got to look at yes, we know that Jason Tatum is that guy.
Hmm.
Jaylen Brown wants some respect as being that guy too, which they've paid both. Both of them have gotten compensated for their play. The bigger question between both of them that I saw this in that fight, and you I'm guessing you watched the finals when they played.
Yeah,
I
this it was
personally
Celtics and Warriors, right?
right.
Yeah.
I personally think they didn't know how to play off each other in that urgent of a situation to make that run again. Because I mean, granted, yes, it's Golden State. Golden State had one of the most solid runs in the final. I mean, in the playoffs. But
Hmm.
as Boston is a younger team, like Al Horford had that one strong game. He hit that game winner in the first game, disappeared.
Hmm.
So then you just look at the other players and you're like, all right, you gotta pull it together. You gotta be able to show up when it matters most.
Hmm.
So that's how I look at Boston. I think Boston's gonna get back to the like they're gonna be either in the conference finals, if not the finals again.
Against the Bucks, we can talk about.
Possibly the Bucks. I mean, Giannis is Giannis, right? Like we know that. You Giannis always, even if Giannis has a decent season, he's still going to be talked about as possible MVP. He's going to an All Star game. He's going to do those intangibles. That part's not
I've
the issue.
Yeah, I've always thought about Giannis as like he's two All Stars in one person.
Mm,
Like he's automatically two All Stars.
yeah, and then he also gets and the thing that's interesting is as good of a player as he is, we don't even think of how good he is defensively.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, because like it's such a and I mean and it's so weird because you know how we bring up the term two-way player? You never hear Giannis's name as a two-way player, but he's a two-way player.
Yeah, but I think it's because he's above that. Like
Okay.
that's a term that you know what I'm trying to say. Like that's a
No, I
term
got
for
you.
like all stars or whatever.
The
I mean, he's an
infamous,
all star, but there's all star and then there's like the superstar, like the
yeah,
superstar.
right.
I feel like
Well,
people
like,
don't say two-way player because he's like above that. Does that make sense?
yeah. So, I mean, if the first example I think of, because they both on the same team, we just kind of talked about them a little bit. Paul George and Kawhi, they're both two-way players.
Oh yeah, we can talk about the Clippers. Like
Yeah.
that's cool.
Um, give me your thoughts on it first, and I'm gonna see where I can run because I got a lot of I can break down about them.
I feel like Kawhi Leonard's gotten a bad rep for being like injury
Mm-hmm.
prone because I remember Stephen A. Smith, I can't remember when. I haven't done a great job of the NBA this year. Like I'll just
Yeah.
be 100
Yeah.
because my favorite team's like one of the worst teams in the league.
Mm-hmm.
So
I mean,
I,
I'm a
I
Houston fan, so you
I'm
it
a
it,
I'm
it
a I've been a Magic fan. We talked about this last time, but
we did. Yep.
I'm a Magic fan, and they're just garbage. But anyways,
Yeah. I
to
got
the
Bobo.
I mean, oh yeah, Paolo is like legit,
You
but
got Paolo and you got Bobo. I think Bobo's that this has been his breakout year personally.
I love that name. That
Yeah.
cracks me up every time I hear it. That's that's awesome.
Yeah.
Anyways, I think Kawhi. Like I remember. Do you remember the rant I'm talking about with like Stephen A. Smith went off on Kawhi?
About
I
his
don't
load
know if it was
management.
yeah, and about
Mm-hmm.
like he's like injury prone and shit. I'm like Stephen A. Like get off his job. Like
Right. I
you know.
think I think as and this is it's a love hate thing about media. And we talked about this before. In podcasting, we learn how to use our words properly for
Hmm.
content. In media, it's a lot different for individuals who are analysts, sports analysts, because they have a very wide range of what they can say. Even if anybody, no one has to agree with anything that they say, because if they said it, it's got to be what it is. And I'm like, yes and no.
It's
Like,
like Skip Bayless was like the 12th man on some
right,
D2 school. Like
yeah,
that's like, and I hate how they like use him as like gospel. I'm like, that bro couldn't even make a three if he wanted to.
yeah. Steve,
You know?
yeah. Skip is Skip doesn't Skip understands and that's the split. So the split is talking sports, playing sports. Like
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of players who have played. Like a good example that everyone talks about now is everybody loves JJ Redick because JJ Redick is very honest and very direct. Plus, he also played the game, so he understands. Like he tries to give those, I call them the talking heads. He gives them the understanding. Like, look, this is what the NBA really is. Like, what y'all get on the little bit of time that y'all see on when we're at practice and all that. That's one layer of it. But there's another side that isn't even remotely talked about or discussed.
Mm-hmm. You there?
Yeah, I'm
Okay,
here.
I
No,
thought
you
you
good.
froze for a second.
I'm straight. So my Clippers rant is, I think John Wall was a big pickup. You're getting a very resurged John Wall question mark.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I always say I think between him, Westbrook, Chris Paul, all of those, just those four players alone, and yeah, those four players, whoever their agents are, smart because they got paid. They got paid, like really got paid.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. But it's like now when you look at what the Clippers have, it's like here it is. You have Paul George, you got Kawhi Leonard, who both play the same style of basketball, but they're complementary games to each other. You can never see them on the court at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes a huge challenge in getting the ball rolling for that.
Yeah. And I think that John Wall is one of those people that had like a chip on his shoulder.
Oh yeah,
Like people kind of,
absolutely.
and I saw did you see the montage that Washington put together? I think it was last night or
I didn't have
like
a
the
chance
night
to.
before.
I wanted to watch that game. I didn't have a
They,
chance to.
they put a nice little video together, video package, which was nice.
Yeah,
But like, I think that John Wall is like one of the most underrated superstars of the last like decade.
yeah.
And that's just my opinion.
No, I mean what he did in high school and what he did, like he brought Washington back on the map. Like if we really look at it for what it is, and then two, he was him and Bradley Beal are probably one of the best backcourts we've seen outside of the obvious, like the Steph Clay, and when they were together, Dame and CJ McCollum. I think Anthony Simons needs to get his recognition now because he's in that talk. Still young, but I mean, you're starting to see like the torch being passed.
Hmm. Yeah.
So
No, I agree, man. I think that it'll be an interesting time. And one more time, and also after this next few minutes, I would like to take a break if that's okay and get an ad and then come back for the ending. Is that okay?
yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, because I just want to, have time for an ad and everything like that. And I'll send you the new link.
Okay.
But before the break, let's talk about what's the other team that you think is one of the front runners besides obviously, the teams we talked about. What's another team that
Um, that's a good question because it's so open right now. Like if I would say Cleveland, but I'm not sold yet.
well,
Um,
they got what's his name? Donovan Mitchell.
Donovan Mitchell, yeah. I mean, D Mitch is Spider's a good basketball player, and I think him and Darius Garland. Darius Garland, I don't know about you, but I've been keeping up with him since high school.
Oh, I know Darius Garland. He made the All-Star team.
Yeah, but Darius Garland, like in high school, dude was a bucket. So
Mm,
what we're seeing now, this is not even. I'm not even surprised. Like he was ready off the begin from the beginning. Mobley, everybody always looks at players and think, oh, they need to get more weight. Nah, he's at the right size. He's playing at the right level. Leave alone. Leave things alone that are working.
mm,
Um, I don't. I mean, this is gonna sound crazy, and I always think of it like this. Come back to me in the All-Star break, and then I'll talk about who's really gonna be like, all right, these are the teams we need to look out for. Because right now it's so this like the schedules and how everyone's records look, it's up in the air.
Hmm.
So
No, yeah, no, I agree, man. So I'm gonna go ahead and end this, take a break, and we'll be right back with the ending of the Sensibly Cynical podcast. Hey, what's up, everybody? I hope you are enjoying this interview with Bryan from the Past Podcast. Just want to let you know Sensibly Cynical is on YouTube. You obviously know that because you are watching the video, youtube.com/sensibly cynical. Simple as that. Subscribe. Also, check out the Sensibly Cynical merch, bonfire.com/store/sensibly dash cynical. I think that's it. Anyways, check it out. Awesome gear. Uh, the cup is good. All cups are good, but you know what I mean. Anyways, please subscribe, rate, and review Sensibly Cynical wherever you get your podcasts. Now, back to my interview with Bryan of the Past Podcast. And we are back. Hopefully, you took this time to subscribe to the Sensibly Cynical podcast. Right? I mean, hope they did. But hey, Bryan, I got my drink. I got the lights going. You
yeah,
know, time for the no, you want to it's whiskey. You could probably guess.
yeah. No, I got some. I'll claim it as whiskey for the sake of
I got Elijah
black.
Craig. You ever had Elijah Craig? It
I have
goes
not.
down it goes down smooth. But
Okay,
so what's your drink of choice? We'll change subjects, after the break here. So yeah, what's your drink of choice?
got you. Funny question. It used to be for the longest time Bacardi 151, and a lot of my
Dude,
friends gave me grief for it.
dude, that shit like fucked me up when I was at 21. If you know what I
Yeah.
mean. When I
Now
was
I don't. Yeah. Now I mean, lately now I'm usually everyone thinks I'm crazy. I stay in like this mixed drink lane of it's either gonna be Long Island. Like anytime I go out with people, it's either gonna be a Long Island or a trash can. I'm between those two.
okay,
That
so
way I got
let's
enough of a buzz.
I feel like for someone who drank a lot from like in their 20s, I feel like I should
Hmm
know what a trash can is, but
Um,
sadly I don't.
so the nicest way to put it is a trash can includes multiple alcohols or multiple liquors, and they place a Red Bull on top of it. So
What?
whenever people bring it to the table, you whenever you see if you see a red can if you see a Red Bull trash can sticking, I mean a Red Bull can sticking out of the bottle or out of the cup, it's a trash can. The only thing is, and a lot of people forget this, and even I know this, and I still do it. Red Bulls are not to be mixed with alcohol. A lot of people don't know that.
Yeah.
Like like a typical drink that most people buy is a Red Bull, and they'll do like Red Bull and vodka, or
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Red Bull and
yeah.
vodka.
But if you look at the can, it actually says on there you're not supposed to have it with any alcohol. But I don't like usually with a trash can, it's usually gonna be like one, maybe two Long Islands. I typically do like I can rock. I mean, I'm usually like two or three. And it depends on, and a lot of times it depends on the place.
Mm.
Um, I'm a local, like it's a local spot here. If I can get if you give me a nice frozen margarita, I'm good. I
Well,
can.
for those that didn't listen to our first two episodes, where you stay, man?
So I'm in Virginia, Cap City, Richmond. Been here pretty much my entire life.
Yeah, I was there. That's kind of I was there 3 years, and I know the RVA scene very very well.
Yeah,
Um,
a lot has adjusted, a lot of changes. The hangout vibes are a lot different now. Like I think for me, because I'm just not like we talked about it earlier. If I don't have to, I'm just like, look, let me find like a little mellow spot. Fat matter of fact, and I'll say it like this: I've reached like the bar and grill age, where
yeah, no,
if
I
it's a
know,
nice hole in the wall, yeah, give me a hole in the
I
wall spot.
know, I know what you're talking about, bro. Because There
Yeah.
used to be so I quick story. So I went back for a wedding, I think it was last year,
Hmm.
and I forgot the name of the club, but it had like a different name, and it was like in Shockoe Bottom.
Okay.
For those that don't know, Shockoe Bottom is like one of the like hot spots in Richmond.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that it seemed like there was this. It was the same like location, but it was different name. It started. It used to start with the C, but I forgot the name of it. But it was like a
Is it
club.
cantinas? No, you talking about okay, a club.
It started with the C.
Okay,
I
because it
don't
was
know.
yeah, they
Maybe it
had
was Cantina.
aces. Yeah, they have cantinas, they have aces. And a lot of places have gone through like a lot of name changes too. So I've
Yeah,
learned
I
how
don't
that
know. I don't
works
know. It was
too.
like CH something.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyways, because I was drunk half the time. But no, but I feel like some of the places have changed. Just they gone like over like on makeovers. Is that right? Like different
Yes.
ownership. And I know tobacco company changed to like I think it was Cantinas to be honest. I think it was. But anyways, I think tobacco companies turned into a club, right?
Yeah. Tobacco Company is a club, and it's funny. I've I have one story about tobacco company in general, and
Yeah, sure.
it's
Go
lived with
for it.
me. Um, I went there when I was younger. I think I might have been 21. I'm not sure, but I went there. I got like I kind of looked at a menu for food.
Yeah,
Really want nothing that
like
appeal.
I had a date there, so it used to be a date spot.
Yeah, like I went there and just kind of got like something to eat. Really want nothing pressing or nothing like that was a wow factor at the time. But then on the same token, it's like I haven't gone back. Like I personally have not made a trip saying, "Oh, I'm gonna go to
Hmm.
Tobacco Road to get anything." Like if anything, if somebody's having like a get together and they say, "Hey, we hanging out here, you want to come pull up?" I'm like, "Sure, I'll come. Like I'll show up." Like, but I've hit that, like, and
Oh,
this
I
I think
know.
this hit this year. This is something that I think has come close to me this year, which is I've started to accept that when I am out with people or out places, I'm the vibe. So I don't have to go anywhere looking for fun. Like fun is gonna be wherever I am.
Yeah.
And
No,
hitting
I
that
hear
point of
you.
like, yeah, hitting that point of life is like now I don't feel urged of like, oh man, I gotta run to this. Like
Yeah.
there's one spot here called Hardywood. Hardywood is probably one of the most
Is that a
relaxing
brewer? I
spots.
thought that was a brewery.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but it's changed now. So like they
Of
got like this
course. Of
outdoor
course.
seating. Like they got like little areas where you can like sit outside and they'll have like live
Nice.
bands perform. But it's like it's a double up because you can go there, you can get your brew, and you can also get like pizza. So you can sit there and like they got it set up where and now with it being wintertime, they got like these fire pits. So you can sit outside, get you a beer, sit by the
Hmm.
fire pit and just chop it up. So that is a perfect like a Friday night. People think I'm probably crazy for going into
No,
that, but it's like that's a perfect
no.
Friday night for me.
Hey man, I told you whatever, nothing's off limits, man.
Yeah, that's
I remember Hardywood, man.
mm-hmm.
They have good beer down there, you know.
That if you go to that area now, you talking about something that changed. Like where across from Hardywood is like apartments. They've redone that whole area. It's so different now.
Yeah, I feel like Legends. I'm gonna get in trouble for saying this. Can I be honest about Legends?
I feel like why do I feel like I've heard of Legends?
Legends Brewery is like one of the oldest ones there, but
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I feel like it's overrated. I hope I don't get backlash from that,
I don't. I mean,
but
I just
I
I
feel
don't think
like it
it's
was overrated.
that's not the one over the south side, was it?
It was like one of the yeah, yeah, yeah. It was one of the older ones,
I wonder if that's the one that my friends.
like real old ones.
I wonder if that's the one that my friend because it was one joint my friends will go to where it's like it's like a soccer field over there, and then you go past it,
I think
and there's like
so.
a
There was like hella outdoor, like a patio. It was like patio seating. Like you got your beer
on
and
Seventh Street.
pit. Yeah. Oh, you're looking it up?
Yeah, I'm looking to see what the ambiance look like.
Yeah. So
See,
there
I
was
never.
like you go in. It was one of the oldest ones. I don't know if it was the oldest one,
Yeah.
but it's like the one on Google that they Google likes it.
Okay.
I thought it was like overrated, but it's
I mean, this
whatever.
look like somewhere I probably would like. I would probably drop in and roll out. Like I would probably wouldn't like
You're probably
kick
gonna
it.
want to check it out now.
Yeah, I mean,
You're probably-
I'll go. Yeah, I mean, the thing for me now, I'm starting, and that's something I'm with when it comes to beer in general. I try to
Mm.
find like the local brews, like the local IPAs, so I can get like,
Oh yeah,
all right,
you
well,
can
we
get
got,
IPAs at Legends, man.
yeah. So yeah, that's just that's how I look at that whole hit scenario for real, for real.
You got any stories or anything? Like what kind of stuff did you get into back in the day, man?
So
Like what
this,
was your yeah, like what was your vibe back in the day?
this is a story that probably should not be surfaced, but it is what it is, and it happened, and I lived. My friend, he and I have been friends for over 20 years, and he will never let me live this story down. We went to the place. I don't even think the place. I don't even think the venue's there anymore. Like it's a building, but it's not a bar. But we went there, and it was a bar in Southside on Hall Street.
Okay. I
Um,
vaguely familiar. I didn't really go to the
yeah,
South Side very much, but
it's
I
a
know what you
small.
mean.
It's yeah, this is like a little small hole in the wall. Like you wouldn't even you could pass right by it and not
Like a
even know you
dive.
went
They
to.
call them dives
Yeah,
there.
yep. So we went. So we in there hanging out, and we sitting down, we having drinks, having a good time. My bill was out the roof. I won't make no kind of money like that,
Like
but I
like
it was
three
like
like three fig like 100
almost, yeah, close to it.
with
Like
tip.
we was nice. Oh, and yeah, with
Did
the tip,
you
yeah.
hey, did you give a handsome tip, Brian?
I tried. I gave what I could. I was in that joint so daggone. I was so buzzed. So
I feel like if you hit 10%, it's good enough. Like
right,
if
right,
you
yeah. If
like
you sit down there and do $100 worth of drinking and give like a $4 tip, then it's like
yo, I
that's
didn't
just
I plead the fifth whether I did that or not.
all
I'm
right.
just
Well,
kidding. I'm
we're
just
gonna let
kidding.
that be what it is gonna be. Um, but we went there, and the bartender's name was Tamika.
Okay. That's a cool
It's a
name.
problem when you go to a bar and a person has a drink named after them.
Oh,
I had two of them.
that's a cool name.
No,
Yeah.
it's a dope name. Um, I ate like I had some mac and cheese. I ate a little bit of food. I ate decent, but literally the drinks were super strong.
Oh yeah.
So I
Like
literally left. Like I went in the bathroom. I threw up like twice.
what?
When we left the bar, I threw up. Like we went to like a gas station. I got to the gas station. I like threw up. Um,
Damn,
yeah,
bro.
that's a light. That I would say that's my one A ties back into 151, which is so I have, and you probably can't see it, but I have a tattoo of 151.
Oh, is that like
That's the Bacardi.
Bacardi? Okay, I
Yeah,
didn't
that was
know if it was a different meaning or what, but that's
yeah.
cool.
So that was one, and that's one. Like the funny thing is, when I first got on Instagram, that was like one of the first pictures I put up on my page, which was so I don't know what I was thinking, but
That's cool
hey,
though,
it is what
man.
it is.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
So, and it also is a numeric meaning to it behind it, like everything being in three. Most of my tattoos are in threes. Um, but a friend of mine invited me to her house and was like, "Hey, we're gonna have a little get together. You can bring your drinks, do whatever. I brought a bottle.
BYOB,
Yeah,
BYOB.
BYOB. So I brought my bottle of 151. That's all I drank that night.
Mm.
And I had a shot. I think my boy still got a picture of it.
Oh shit.
They set one of the shots on fire. I
Mm.
blew it out, drank it, and I was so nice that night. But the other part of why I tell that story is because the same person hosted a party, and we're there all hanging out, and she made this drink. It was named after this. This is the running trend with me is if people make drinks and it's named after them, I don't drink them. Period.
Mm.
Point blank. It's
That's
non-negotiable
interesting. I kind of get it. I get it.
because it's about to be something insane,
Right.
and
Because why the
this is
because
one
they're
of
not
those examples.
yeah, because they're not gonna name like a pussy drink like
Yeah, she made a drink
after
and
dope.
it was her name. I'm not gonna put her name out there, but her name surprise, and it had 151 and it had Everclear, and everybody was like, Brian, just those two drinks alone,
Everclear. Shit.
yeah. She was like, those two drinks, you can't have those together, and you had more in there. I was like, yeah, and it was like some other alcohol in there.
Mm-hmm.
When I tell you that night, I was so like tired. No, I won't even. Let me not say tired. I was just more like I didn't know what was what. But the good part was because of where I was at and the people I knew, I pretty much realized because she had a golden rule, and I say this anytime if I ever, when I have my own place, if folks come in to drink and they're gonna hang out, it's an unwritten law. You got to sit your keys on the, like when you first come in. You can't get them if you're not in the state to drive. Just crash, sleep, do something. I'm not gonna let you leave in a
Yeah.
in a bad off state. It's just not my thing, and that was something she was big on, and I appreciate her to this day for that. But yeah, that night I was super relaxed, super lit. Like I was, I had fun with everybody for a minute. For a second, I took a nap. I got up and like supposedly had smoked, didn't even know it. Like, yeah,
What?
yeah. So that's one of those moments that'll I like I said, that's why it's a 1 and 1A. Like either one is like pick your poison.
Mm. Yeah, I got a good story. Yeah, so I did stand up one time and
Mm-hmm.
I was so bad that I ended up like puking after, and I ended up like having to get like one of my buddies gave me like his notes. I'm
Oh
like,
dang.
yeah, I was like that messed up.
Wow.
And I don't know if you remember, but there used to be back in the day, like this is like the story is not from a long time ago. It's from probably 9 years ago now, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not there anymore. But there used to be a club called, like a dive bar called Pi, and it
Okay.
used to be on like Lombard. I don't know the Lombardi or whatever, but like it used to be.
Yeah.
It was like a dive bar, like good ass pizza. I mean, it should be named Pi. It
Okay.
should be,
Why
but
do I feel
like,
like they got another spot called
well,
Pie, but this is
they
different.
shut
But
it
okay.
down. They shut it down like shortly after money ran dry. But
Yeah.
yeah, I kept telling the promoter to push me back. I was being a little bitch. But I didn't know about Rumplemints until that night. You know what Rumplemints is?
I've been out with people who've had
That
them,
that
and
shit is that shit's dangerous.
they high
Like that
quality.
should
That's
be that should be illegal.
that's high
That
quality run. Creeping Peter. That's literally the best way to describe it.
that shit should be illegal.
Yeah.
Like,
Now, if you got and the even it's and the thing to this is something that's important that has to be said about this, and this is kind of like a tool tip for anyone with drinking. It's not about what drink you get; it's about how the drink is made. If it's made with the right quality or with the right love and affection of it, oh, I've this is not my story, but this is relatable to like the drinking run. There was a bar. It used to be called Belly Timber. Now it's called Bovine. And
I
one of my
feel
friends
like
was
feel
Belly
like I've
Timber's been
heard
there
of it.
for a minute. Yeah, Belly Timber's on Main Street.
Yeah.
So whenever you go to Belly Timber, like whenever I used to go, one of the bartenders was there. I called her my bar babe. Period point. Like she doesn't work there anymore. But when she worked there, I always knew I was gonna be good for the night. Like she got me straight, and I always tipped her handsomely because we just had that type of bond.
Mm-hmm.
One night we get there, and it was me and like three of my other friends, and we're all like because it was so many people at the bar,
Mm-hmm.
we couldn't sit at the bar in an actual bar seat. We had to like sit at a table.
Oh
So we're
yeah.
at a table, which is cool, ain't no big deal.
Yeah.
I've been out with people and seen people get ripped, get a nice decent buzz. One of my friends got cut off from drinking. Like she had that
It went
much.
the universal.
Like they was looking at her and she's like, yeah, I want to, and they was like, no, nah. And
That's
I
the
was like, how?
when you get this sign, that's
Yeah, and I'm looking at her like, yo, what are you doing? Like, what did you do to get to that point? But I've
that's
never like,
funny.
as long
That's
as I've
funny.
gone out, I've never been cut off. Like, thankfully, and I think now what's different for me too is
Right.
I can. It's like a balance. Like if I get one, it's like all right, I'm getting one because I'm just chilling, and I ain't sitting here trying to be like turned up. I'm just out because it's an opportunity.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Any last last few questions.
yeah, yeah.
How's the music scene lately, man? What
Um,
kind of stuff you been into?
so I'm this gonna surprise you. I have probably become the most laziest music listener.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is I'm more inclined to playlists.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my main so like my listening now is on a more calmer level. So like I listen to a lot of lo-fi. I listen to solfeggio, which is like um there is very like sound frequencies. I'm in that space right now. Now let me be clear. I do listen to like her. I'll listen to like certain artists if they bring out new music, but
I
because
like
of
her. I like that. That's
her
good. She's
and
good.
like she just did a video which I'm looking forward to what she's about to do. She's looking to be her true self, which is
Mm.
going by her real name, which I think, when it comes to music, it's nothing wrong with having your identity or your alias. But now that she's more like, okay, I'm taking the glasses off, I'm gonna be myself.
Mm.
Like, be yourself, like be your true. I think people are limiting themselves when it comes to music because they're having to play the box or play the game. And like for me, like one of my friends love her dearly. She's a Lil Baby fan. Me, I'm just not. Lil Baby ain't it for me. So I don't like certain hip hop or certain mainstream. I'm not that pressed about. I've turned into. So you remember Questlove, right?
Yeah.
He
Vague,
does.
vague. Like I'm
Yeah,
vaguely. Yeah.
vaguely. Yeah, but he does. There was one time when the pandemic first started. I realized how he is with music is how I am with music. Meaning, when he listens to songs, he does what you like, what I call connect the dots, which is okay. This artist brought out this song. Here's where this song originated from. Here's where you can hear this sample. Like he finds samples in songs, and that's kind of where I'm at with music. Where I'll listen to like certain songs, and I'm like, oh, so this is where this originated from, and kind of like give the educational or the teaching side of it to like not only for myself but for other people, because most of us just know okay the song came out, but we don't think of like who the original person was that sang this song.
Yeah,
So
there's a couple songs that like I was surprised like one of the bands, like I don't know if you know who the Cranberries were, but like there
not
was
offhand.
there was a song, I forgot the name of it, but like out of nowhere, like back in the day, you know what I mean? Or like I don't know, this has Nicki Minaj done anything lately? Like
She hasn't, but
I
I
used
know
to be
she
a big
she
I think
she done some sing. Yeah, she done some songs that's probably been. She's a like she's an example of a sample based artist, which is nothing wrong with that. Like if it's there, use it.
mhm. I was really big into her like back in the day.
Yeah, yeah. Nikki, I mean Nikki, like, and that's the thing. Like if her album happens to drop, and I'm like, oh, I got a
Oh
free
shit!
opportunity.
Like what?
Let
What's
me
going on with this?
yeah, let me check it out. Like a couple months ago, I'm gonna say one thing that might be needed to be said, but I'm gonna say another part. When Beyonce's album came out, a lot of people weren't wild and impressed by it. I
Hmm.
thought it wasn't a bad body of work. A lot of people just weren't into her as to what she was saying, and there's nothing wrong with that. Recently, now to go back to that question, I will say one album that I love that just came out. I need to listen to it again. Is SZA. I think SZA just
Yeah,
she
I've
just
heard of
does her
that.
thing when it comes to music. But the other part is so R. Kelly had a new album that came out. The
Talk
thing
about
that's
talk about controversial.
controversial and piss poor timing because he brought out the album. Everyone listened to what they could listen to of songs and gave their opinions and thoughts on it. And then out of nowhere, the album got pulled, which a lot of folks have like different feelings about it. They like, they need to do the right thing and it shouldn't. And I'm like, I understand everyone's point of view. I just think it was just bad timing on his part. Like, especially with him saying what he was saying in some of the songs of like,
Mm.
I didn't do what I did. And I'm like, why are you waiting until now to do this? Like, this just no, just be quiet.
Mm. Any up and
So
coming artists that you're like that's you think's gonna make a big
um it's tough for me to say because like artists can come and go so fast. And then it's like now, like I just said earlier, like consuming music, how we consume music 5 or 10 years ago versus how we consume it now, it's so hard to like
Mm.
catch an artist in the right point. Like an artist now, I will say someone who I'm looking forward to more frequently is Snow Allegra. I think I love her music. Snow Allegra, um, She did a Christmas album, a Christmas single, but I'm waiting to see how it goes. Ari Lennox, if she brings out an album, I'd be kind of excited about that. But those
Shit,
would probably be like the first two.
Cardi B has a new song out. Shake
So
It.
yeah, that's why I
So
said
that
I
was,
don't
you know,
like
Cardi
artists.
B is
Yeah,
obviously.
of course. Yeah, I know Cardi. Like
She's got,
her first album I thought was actually a lot
yeah.
better than people
Who else?
expected.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
did listen to Nas album a couple weeks ago. That was pretty good.
Kehlani. I'm looking up new songs.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I like Bad Habit. You've heard that song, Steve Lacy?
Yeah, yeah. I like
Dude,
the
I like
album.
that. I like that song a lot. I was
Listen
like,
to,
I did
listen
a
to the
reel to
album.
that. I did a reel to that.
Listen to the album. The album will surprise you.
Yeah.
The thing, and see, the other part that's a bigger problem too with music is we're in a space now where a lot of music we're being put into it with TikTok. TikTok makes a lot of artists famous or makes a lot of songs famous, and then the artist doesn't really reap the benefits of it sometimes.
Or like, yeah, yeah, TikTok, yeah, Instagram Reels.
Instagram Reels, yeah, but it's like, so Instagram is this is going to be the social conflict of interest because everyone looks at which one do they repurpose, which is, do you see people pull videos from Instagram Reels, turn them into TikTok videos, or do they take TikTok videos? Because you know when anybody does a video on TikTok, when they put it on Instagram, they put all that watermark shit on there to make sure you can't like that you know that it wasn't done originally, and now you have to go to like third party apps because like most people use CapCut. Like I think CapCut is probably the best app that no one ever uses.
I heard like there's Bandcamp, I think is the name of it.
Mm-hmm.
There's like that's another like artist like app that they get good royalties from. I know artists use that.
Yeah, Bandcamp, you'll get your money's worth because artists now the value of your song, like when it comes to streaming, like a lot of people are like, oh well, this artist, I'm not gonna buy. Like I've had people that sit there and say, oh, I'm not gonna use Pandora, I'm not gonna use Spotify. I'm like, regardless if you use the app or not, they're still artists. Artists aren't, in my opinion, they're not relying on their music sales. They're looking at
Mm,
tours and merch and other like those other 2% factors to get their income.
yeah, no doubt, man.
Yeah.
Bryan, this has been awesome, man. Catch up and that just shoot the shit, man. That's
Yeah,
it.
man. Likewise, man. Like I said, I'm glad you're in a good space. Glad we,
Yeah,
got
man.
got to catch up and
I got a
you
new
was able to
job.
kind of lock me in.
Yeah, this job is kind of new. Um I got this job in March, so
Hmm.
right after, like not right after, but a little bit after our last conversation, and it's a good job, man. It's just the driving, but that's
Right.
every job has pros and cons. It
Yeah.
wouldn't be work if it was easy, right?
Right. Even down
I
to
mean,
doing entrepreneurship.
they don't give free money.
Nah.
Like, I
Nope.
wish you got free money all the time, but
Yeah.
unless you
Everything
win
got
the
a cost.
lottery, unless you win the
Everything.
lottery.
Yeah. Everything has a cost. Whether you're a fan of the cost or not, it's a number. It's a numbers game.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, where can people find the past podcast?
So they can check me out at the Past BT Pod on Instagram. Even if I don't think of using it, Snapchat and TikTok. I'm learning to use TikTok more frequently for videos.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm now that it is a podcast, since I have it connected to my podcast page. If they want to actually check out my podcast, the title of it is The Past BT. The easiest way I describe it is a picture of me with a microphone on my back, as if you've gone to his page.
Yeah, I
That's been
was
like the
using.
signature image.
I put
Yeah,
some
go.
badass reels, man. Did you see the reels I posted
Yeah,
in
I just engaged with him earlier. Yeah, so definitely check it out. The link for if you want to go to if you want to get the actual shows themselves,
hmm
go to the pastbtpod.buzzsprout.com. If you go to that link, it will literally get you to all of the podcasts that I have. And also if it's like, oh, I use Spotify, oh, I use Apple, um, whichever one you use, that's going to be how you connect. I'll give this quick story, and this is
Oh
probably
yeah.
what I
No, that's
valued the
cool.
most about the podcast. I want to say last year I did one episode, which I didn't think much of it, but it was probably everyone says they always have something that makes them go viral.
Hmm.
You never know what that thing is. My thing that made me go viral with the podcast was I did a podcast about Jeff Bezos stepping down from Amazon. The episode
Okay.
went up, and when I uploaded it, because of all the platforms that it was on, I didn't think about the fact that one of the most underrated podcast platforms that no one uses is Pandora. I went on Pandora or I went on Buzzsprout. Like I went on my page and looked at my dashboard, and my downloads like just excelled. And it was to the point where I literally was able to get upwards of like 7,000, 6,000, 7,000 downloads total for like all of
Wow.
my podcasts just from that one episode. Like that's, I think that episode alone has gotten over 5,000 downloads.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
That's
so,
awesome. Everyone should
so that,
check it out.
yeah, check that show out, but also check out the other shows. Like I'm beginning to come in the form of being a creator or being a tech creative. Like I didn't give much effort to it before, but now I'm really becoming like in tune with how important it is.
Yeah, no doubt, man. And I just appreciate you. You always keep it real, and our conversations are always interesting and engaging.
Oh yeah,
So it's
no
awesome.
question, man.
And
No doubt,
even
man.
though I haven't like met you,
Yeah.
I feel like me and you, like if we had a beer sometime, I feel like it would be like just as chill, you know?
Oh yeah, it'd be a whole vibe. It'll be just shooting the breeze about life and just living, man. That's just me go.
One day we'll link, man.
Hey,
I visit. You know, I was gonna hit you up when I went to Richmond, but I was just it was in and out. You know what I mean?
right. No, I understand. Do it. Look,
I was there for like 2 days.
yeah. Listen, you gotta do what's in your best. You gotta do what's in your best interest and be okay with it. Not like I don't. People got lives, man. That's the biggest thing I've learned lately. Is like we all got our own life we're trying to live. We got our own things we're trying to keep it together. So it's all good, man.
It just it
But
and go Chelsea, right?
yeah, go Chelsea. I think they won today, which
We talked
I was
about.
surprised I was surprised they played today because I knew the World Cup was going on. But hey,
Mhm.
it is what it is. I ain't mad.
That's interesting how they're playing during the World Cup, like without their best players, like Pulisic. Yeah,
It's
funny.
to give. Yeah, I was about to say to give the non-visual is money. Money talks
No,
as
hopefully
needed.
they'll have. Hopefully the people listening to the audio version will check out the YouTube link.
Yeah,
Hopefully.
facts, no
Um,
doubt.
your social media, did you already list them? The past.
Yeah, the past BT pod. So and I'll do all three because I need to get more exposure. The past BT pod is for the podcast. My personal page, Bryan 1982, all platforms. You can find me there. If you're looking for any web design, graphic design needs, or if you're looking to do any social media marketing and you need somebody to kind of get you in the right direction, I'm working to build up with that. Rely on BOT LLC, which is
Mhm.
rely on me, stop your one-stop shop for all your branding and design needs. So come check me out.
All right, Bryan. Once again, thank you so much.
Yeah,
And
man.
you know, maybe we'll go for the home run after this. Four, you know.
Hey, say the word. Listen, just say the
Go for
word. You know,
home.
I'll like I said, how we got to plan it up, man. You know, I'm ready.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man. And
Yeah, man.
take it easy, all right?
Yeah, man. You too.
All
All
right,
right.
man. Sure.
Peace.